Hey everyone, it's Ange Sinclair from Digestive Detective. Today's digestive tip was about, we're going to do slippery elm today. So I have a little container of slippery elm here, and generally it comes as a powder. You can get tablets, but I actually find powder is better. So slippery elm is from a plant called Ulmus rubra, and so or red elm. So traditionally, it's a Native American Indian remedy. Was a traditional remedy for them for lots and lots of things. The inner bark of the tree was used, so they actually the tree was really used. All the bits were used, and then they'd sort of chop it down and use this for thing. So traditionally, it's used for colds, fevers, coughs, colic, IBS. Constipation and diarrhea, so it's one of those things that can be used for several things. Bladder and urinary tract infections, syphilis and herpes as well, and expelling tapeworms, which is a really big one for them. So recently it's been used for breast cancer, for its immune building characteristics, because it can help, because it's anti-inflammatory. Psoriasis, it can be definitely used in psoriasis, and because it can reduce the number of plaques. They used to use it for, they make poultices from it. So it draws things out. So if you have a splinter and make a little poultice and stick it on, it will draw the splinter out to the top. Any sorts of skin inflammation, eczema, those sorts of things. It's really demulcent, so which means it's really soothing. It becomes mucilaginous, so which means it gets a bit slimy when you mix it together. And it's really good for mucous membrane, so of the throat, right through the digestive system, the urinary tract, and also the respiratory tract. So if you've got a really bad cold and stuff, it can help because it really calms everything down. So when it comes in contact with water, it becomes mucilaginous, so it becomes a bit sticky and a bit slimy. It's astringent when you take it, so it really tightens and tones the surfaces it comes in contact with. So you'll notice if you've got a splinter, when you pull it out, it feels really tight around the area, so there's not like a little indent where you see the splinter come out from. It provides a barrier to prevent bacterial function, so especially good for the digestive tract for that, so it can put a barrier in so nothing else can go on the top of it. It's excellent for getting rid of diarrhea. So some conditions I would use it for are constipation, diarrhea, any inflammation in the digestive tract, reflux, Crohn's, gastritis, diverticulitis even. All those things, it really benefits people. Excellent for kids who are failure to thrive kids, or people who have surgery and they're not really eating anything. So those sorts of people. So what you do is you take 1 to 2 teaspoons, you put it into a little a bowl, and you can mash half a banana in with it and then mix the water in, because it tastes like, and I'm going to really sell this to you, I think it's delicious. It tastes like the bottom of a forest floor. That's the best way to describe it. So isn't that appealing? I think it is a acquired taste, but you get used to it really easily, especially if you're having it with banana. So the banana makes it really easy to ingest, and it's really, once you have it, it's really soothing. So if you've got a really sore throat or a sore chest area from coughing too much or something, slippery elm will really help. So how you take it is internally you take 1 to 2 teaspoons in water, and it can be taken up to 4 times a day. Good for children as well, so but use it on a lower dose. So I'd rather than 1 to 2, I'd start with half and see how that goes. And that would be a useful thing. So to make a poultice, you simply mix it with warm water into a little paste, and then you put it on, and you can wrap a band-aid or a bandage or something over the top of that, and leave it a couple of hours and then pull it off. I've used it in things like impetigo as well to help with that initially, because to stop them from being itchy. So we did garlic and then impetigo and then slippery elm, which was really useful. Probably a lot more fuss than I would do normally, but it works really well. So my one caution with slippery elm is if you have SIBO, so small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, be careful, because it's full of loaded with polysaccharides, and these are not friendly to people who have SIBO. It can make you feel a lot worse. And sometimes, rather than spend the $300 on tests, if people come in and say, look, I've tried slippery elm and it makes me feel miserable, then we don't have to do the test. I absolutely know what's going on for them. So that's a good thing. The other contraindication with slippery elm is it can slow down the absorption of your medicines from your doctor. So one of the things you can do is make sure you take it 2 hours before or 2 hours after. You know, all these things that we've talked about so far, ginger, aloe, and now slippery elm. These are all easy, simple things to get you started. You know, some people do really complicated things when they're having gut trouble, and sometimes it's better to bring it back to the basic things that are really easily accessible and that you can, you know, most people would keep some of those things in their kitchen. So, you know, start with the basics and then you build up from there. And just for the cost and sheer things like that, you can do a huge amount of good with these things. And this container cost me about $25, I think, but it will last. I'm just trying to see how much it is. 65 grams, so it'll last quite a long time if you're just having 1 teaspoon. Especially good for reflux, and I recommend it to lots of people with reflux to have it either before they eat or just after they eat, and that'll stop the blowback from them. So that's my recommendation this week, slippery elm. Have you tried it? What are your thoughts on it? And let me know how you go with it if you do try it. I'll see you next week. Thanks.